everybody, it's Rose Groom. Welcome. I know it's been a long time, and this has been a long time waiting, but welcome to the new creepypasta. And I shall continue being a guest here, and all you hate me, fuck you. So, it's been a while since I've done a creepypasta, and the reason is I've been holding off doing a bunch at a different time, busy with life. Also, I've been busy with other YouTube things, and I've been focusing on a lot of my games and such, and I'm sorry about that. I'm going to begin focusing a lot more on my YouTubing, creepypastas, so expect to begin seeing a nice handful of creepypastas popping in and out here lately, and I got a gift for all of you. I know you guys have been waiting for a popular creepypasta by me, and to hear my thoughts on a creepypasta, and I will not name this one. It will probably be in the description so people can look it up, but I'm excited to do this one. So let's just get right into it, okay? During the summer of 2003, events in the northeastern United States involving a strange human-like creature sparked brief local media interest before an apparent blackout was enacted. Little or no information was left intact, as most online and written accounts of the creature were mysteriously destroyed. Primarily focused in a rural New York state, a self-proclaimed witness told stories of their encounters with a creature of unknown origins. Emotions ranged from extremely traumatic levels of fright and discomfort to an almost childlike sense of playfulness and curiosity. While their published versions are no longer on record, the memories remained powerful. Several of the involved parties began looking for answers that year. In early 2006, the collaboration had accumulated nearly 24 documents dating between the 12th century and present day, spanning 4 continents. In almost all cases, the stories were identical. I've been in contact with members of this group and was able to get some excerpts from their upcoming book, A Suicide Note, 1964. As I prepare to take my life, I feel it necessary to assuage any guilt or pain I have introduced through this act. It is not the fault of anyone other than him. For once I awoke and felt his presence, and once I awoke and saw his form. Once again I awoke and heard his voice, and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I might next awake to experience. I cannot ever wake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and 1 loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Lenny, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry translated from Spanish, 1880. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow, black. They saw me and pierced me. His wet hand. I will not sleep. His voice. The rest of the text cannot be translated. A Mariner's Log, 1691. He came to me in my sleep. From the foot of my bed I felt a sensation. He took everything. He must return to England. We shall not return here again at the request of the Rake. From a witness in 2006. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip to Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving, so my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he got out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed. So quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. He then grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for half a second, I was able to see what caused this strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, there was what appeared to be a naked man, or a large, hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over his arm and knee, tucking into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed, and then crawled quickly in a flaring third of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face. The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, or probably closer to 5. It just felt like a long time. Just looking at my husband, the creature then placed its hand on his knee and ran into the hallway, leading to the kids' room. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. He turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. It flipped the switch on the wall and saw my daughter, Kara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, "He is the Rake." My husband drove his car into the lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. He did not survive. Being a small town, news got around pretty quickly. The police were helpful at first, and then the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew of 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature we now refer to as the Rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believe to be accounts of the Rake. Neither of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal had an entire entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages, and never mentioned it again. The ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, saying only that they were told to leave by the Rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature visit was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the Rake had visited any of us before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night. Every night for 2 weeks, I would tediously scan through the sounds of me rolling in bed. Each day when I woke up, by the end of the 2nd week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of... By the end of the 2nd week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while I blurred through the recording at 8 times their normal speed. This still took almost an hour every day. On the first day of the 3rd week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the Rake. I can't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and now I believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I have not seen the Rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know in fear that one night I'll wake up to see him staring at me. Wow, guys, as you probably can tell, that was the Rake. A very popular creepypasta, and I see why it's so popular. Very detailed. They put enough into it where it wasn't overdone like most creepypastas I've done, which involve, I know, cartoons and games. This was more real life. But for me, they took it into such a serious approach and they didn't overdo anything that it came out perfect. It came out really well. If you don't know, the Rake is based upon urban legends, true stories such of yes, yes, no, no, involving things such as the New Jersey Devil and things like that. To be honest, I've watched a lot of things about the things of the Rake and the Chupacabra, all these type of different urban myths. And the Rake, to me, is very interesting. I've read a little more about it, its background story, which I will be doing here soon. I want to do a little thing about the Rake, which I find very interesting. And I can feel this being true in a lot of different ways. And, you know, I've had these terrifying experiences myself with the unknown and such. But the story felt so good because, as I said, it stuck. And it's such a true form, not going into anything overdone, overdoing it. It all sat in this nice little bundle. And I commend whoever wrote this. Great job. If this is real, which I highly doubt, congratulations. Congratulations, you did a great job. But there's a few flaws in the story here that I would like to mention that kind of bugged me about it. I don't know if any of you guys caught it at all. You know, things about the Rake has been just so thrown out there now. You don't know what's real and you don't know what's fact. You don't know what's BS. Things like that. The history stuff. Like, they talked about the dearest Lenny. I've prayed for you, he spoke your name. Why didn't we get nothing else about that Lenny? I mean, I'm sure, even if this had to be BS, like, about the Rake and this kid just was crazy, if Lenny did die, don't you think someone would have said something about that? Hey, this kid committed suicide. It said, hey, he spoke your name, died here recently. I mean, I just think there would be some follow-up on that I would like to see. You know, the Mariner's log about not return request of the Rake. Yeah, I would like to know a little more about that. I would like a little more insight on that. If anyone has, like, the whole story of that, please link it to me. I'd like to see it. And the main one, about the lady. Really? No newspaper articles about this at all? Because I've went through a lot of newspaper articles to see if any of this would hold true. You know, husband dying, rushing his kid to the hospital. I'm sure someone would have took that and made news out of it because that's A-plus news. You could just say the kid injured herself. Someone would have covered that. But nothing was covered from that. I don't know. I think it's real. I think some of this story is BS, though. Tell me what you guys think. Message down below. You don't like me? Message it down below. How else am I going to cry every night without you guys telling me this? So yeah, message down below so I can cry with how terrible of a voice I have. Thank you guys. You're always close to me. You're my best friends. You guys have a wonderful night. I hope you enjoyed this creepypasta. More to come.